I'm Rye, and I was wrong. I'm singing the Rye's Wrong song. I shouldn't have taken that chance, so here's my remorseful dance. Okay, so Pokopia is actually really fucking good. The second to last video I made before taking a brief hiatus on this channel was about how I was confused on who Pokopia was for. It seemed like this weird blend of Animal Crossing meets Tomodachi Life with Minecraft sprinkled in, and you know, Animal Crossing was about to get a major update, Tomodachi Life is coming out like 3 days ago, and Minecraft is Minecraft. I was confused on who the body horror Pokemon version of the crossbreed of those three games was for. But then the game came out, and it became the highest reviewed Pokemon game of all time. But most importantly, I played the game, and holy shit, it's amazing. The mistake that many of us, mine included, made was assuming that this game was anything but Dragon Quest Builders 2, because that's what this game is. As far as I've heard, this is just Dragon Quest Builders 2, but with Pokemon on it. And I've heard that Dragon Quest Builders 2 is an amazing game, one that almost anybody would enjoy. But I've never played it, and I have a monkey brain. I don't know anything about Dragon Quest, so I never really wanted to try it. But if you make something Pokemon themed, I'm in. And genuinely, Dragon Quest Builders 2, but Pokemon themed with weirdly depressing lore, is kind of the lightning in a bottle this game is. That's where the core of this game shows. It's not a super complex game, and it's not incredibly difficult or challenging either. It's a satisfying game with really cute characterizations of characters we've known for like 30 years and intense and interesting lore. And that's really the things I wanted to talk about today. And now I'll leave the lore for the end so you can watch the majority of this without being spoiled, because you really should play this game blind if you can. But those are like the three main points that make me so interested in this game. Now I understand the Switch 2 is wicked expensive, so a lot of you probably want to play the game and can't. In this economy, that's a tough sell. But it's crazy to me that this game, of all games, seems to be the first real console seller for the Switch 2. Because look, I love Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza. They're wonderful games, and I have a lot of fun with them. I still play Mario Kart World at least once a week, but it's not without its problems. And Mario Kart itself, although it's the most highest selling game on any Nintendo console, Mario Kart isn't really the console seller. It's more that once you get the console, you're gonna get Mario Kart. And Donkey Kong Bonanza is wonderful, but personally, I don't find it very replayable. So it doesn't really have that universal appeal that Super Mario Odyssey did. I very much enjoyed my time with Metroid Prime 4, and I'm planning on making a full video for it. Similarly, it's not without its problems, and Metroid, as much as I love the series, was never really a console seller. Pokemon Legends ZA has some problems as well, but mainly it's also on the Switch 1. So even though it runs way better on the Switch 2, you gotta pick your battles. If you want to play Pokemon, you already can play it on your Switch 1. But then Pokopia came out. It's a Switch 2 exclusive, runs beautifully, utilizes the Switch 2 mouse mode, which not many games have, and really doesn't have any major flaws. Somehow, Pokopia is the first Switch 2 console seller. So why is that? Well, first up, the gameplay. Like I mentioned, it is incredibly satisfying, but it's not necessarily challenging. The basic gameplay loop of this game is cleaning up your environment, which is already very popular and very fun to do. Think like Power Wash Simulator, but in a Minecraft format. And as you're doing that, you discover different habitats that can attract Pokemon to your town that you're kind of remaking from the ground up. Once Pokemon show up, they can help you clean up the town and make it even better. It's cyclical. The more Pokemon you gather to your location, the more that can help you make it better to gather more Pokemon, until eventually you can rebuild the Poké Center, and if you want to, rebuild the entire town. I'll get more into this in the lore, but it's important for gameplay. The game presents itself as, all the humans have left, maybe if we rebuild the things they're used to, we can clean it up and make it better for Pokemon, and maybe the humans will come back. So that's kind of your mission statement. If you can rebuild the town, it'll make Pokemon lives happier, and maybe the humans will come back too. Now, I mentioned that it was satisfying. Part of that is that you don't need to be super creative or have a really complex artistic vision for what you want to do to be able to make these really pretty towns. I have never been a builder. I love Minecraft, but I'm always in the mines. I yearn for the mines. Whenever I play multiplayer, I let the other people do the adventuring and do the building, and I go into the mines and I strip mine for all the resources. I love mining in Minecraft. That's what I do. I've never been the guy to make the house. So when I booted up Pokopia, I was a little intimidated when the main thing to do is to build a bunch of houses. But that's where the genius of the game design of this map comes into play, because the map is not randomized. The map is very specifically and dedicatedly crafted. And because of that, there's a natural progression in the world itself. It's less that you have to come up with how these towns are supposed to look like from scratch, and it's more, as you're cleaning up your area and collecting resources, you'll discover the remnants of the town that used to be. And all you have to do is color in the lines. Many people have talked about the fact that you don't have to know what a town should look like. You can kind of guess based on what's still here and build off of it. Not to mention the fact that the game provides you several pre-built houses that you just need to put resources and Pokemon on, wait a day, and bada bing bada boom, new house. And then, talking about the cyclical nature of how addicting this game is, once you make a big enough house, you can move 2 to 4 Pokemon inside of it. They live there now, and now their habitats have been freed up for more Pokemon to join your town. It's such a well thought out gameplay loop. Not to mention the fact that for the diehard Pokemon fans, this is Kanto. Like, this is straight up Kanto. It never directly says like, oh, here's the town you're in when you get there. But if you're picking up the lore or even just looking around, you can recognize what towns you go to. It seems like we start in Fuchsia and then we head to Vermilion. Like, that's crazy that we're able to know where we're going in this game. That's awesome. I mean, hell, the SS Anne is in ruins off the coast. You can go visit it, and if you wanted to, you could fully rebuild it, make it livable, and have all the water Pokemon live in the SS Anne. That's amazing. And here's the best part, is the fact that it is still a sandbox. If you don't want to rebuild the town that way, you could just level it. Hell, you can do whatever you want. You could make it a brand new kind of town. You could make Hoenn if you wanted to. And the game even gives you an easy way to do that. Instead of having to level it and build your own stuff, very early on, once you get your bearings, you unlock this massive expanse of what definitely feels more like a Minecraft. This big, sprawling landscape that's fully to your choosing. The game even tells you, hey, there's no story here. This is just to make your own town the way you want to. And that's awesome, that they just straight up give you that choice. So you have the story-based elements, which I'm definitely more interested in. And then if you want to just be a builder and make these grand expanses, here's your spot for it. Because I'll be honest, like I said, I'm not a builder. I like making the houses so I can have the Pokemon move in, but I'm way more interested in getting Pokemon to join up and doing the story progression. Because not only do you discover lore as you go, but each of the new areas you go to have a specific Pokemon that needs help. And to help them, you usually have to do something to the environment. The first one, like Bulbasaur says, let's get this place humid. And you gotta increase the water levels to then eventually make it rain, and then that summons a spoiler, which I won't get into, but it's hype. Not to mention the next area where, slight spoiler, we meet possibly the most, like, made in a lab, adorable creature that Pokemon has ever created, Pikachu. A Pikachu who is given so much electricity to its fellow Pokemon in these trying times that it cannot generate its own electricity. So it's this faded Pikachu, and she is so cute. It's like giving sick dog, like sweet sick dog. And that kind of leans into the other aspect of this game that I find so compelling, and that's the characterization. I've never played Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, or really any of the Pokemon games with the Pokemon talk. So this is my first time getting to talk to these Pokemon, the ones that I've known for 30 plus years. Well, I guess for me specifically 27 years, but you know, they've existed for that long. And it's so nice to actually get a specific and different personality for each one. You know, the idea that Charmander is the I threw up guy. The fact that Bulbasaur's kind of stupid. There's really cute and interesting characterizations of all of these Pokemon that is so compelling and fun to know. And now when I go back and play earlier Pokemon games and I see them, I'll remember that personality. And it completely changes how I look at these characters that I've known and grown to love. And again, that's not to mention the lore of this game. The fact that I mentioned the humans left. Now, slight spoilers. I'm not going to go all the way into the spoilers because frankly, I haven't even beaten the game yet. This game is huge. But slight spoilers, the humans seem to have left Earth. There was a series of catastrophic weather events that was making Earth inhospitable. So the plan was put all the Pokemon in the PC so that they can weather the storm, and the humans would leave Earth to someday come back. Well, the game picks up in long enough time has passed, the PCs I guess have just given out, and Pokemon are waking up out from the PCs and out of their Pokeballs and just coming back to a barren, destroyed Earth. And you as Ditto have to help rebuild the Earth to make it more hospitable and persuade the humans to come back home. It's an incredibly sad and tragic lore for this game, and they don't shy away from that. There are several pieces of collectible lore that are downright depressing. One of the first times you rebuild a Pokemon Center, you find a note from somebody written just after they've given up their Pokemon. She mentions that she put her Pokemon in the PC and she hopes for the best, and that she's going to go visit the places that she would go with her Pokemon before they leave. It's this sad and touching story throughout this game, yet at the same time, it doesn't feel hopeless. It's sad, but it's hopeful. And theoretically, it worked. It seems like this game is between the mainline games and Mystery Dungeon. Because, you know, in Mystery Dungeon games, the Pokemon are living in houses and stuff. And in one of the Mystery Dungeon games, you're traveling back in time as like a human and you're turned into a Pokemon. And you're confused that like, why are there no humans and stuff? Which I guess would assume that this worked enough that one day the humans did come back post Mystery Dungeon. So that's just a really touching, sad, tragic story. There's crazy lore that's being introduced in this game. But all this to say, I was so wrong. I was so skeptical that this game was going to really be for anybody. It was going to be a mess of too many things and just kind of weird. But no, they killed this. This is by far the most popular and most well-received Switch 2 game so far. And looking at the numbers, the highest reviewed Pokemon game of all time. We've got Winds and Waves to look forward to next year, and I'm so excited for it. But the fact that this game is as good as it is leaves me nothing but hopeful for the future of Pokemon. And yes, I owe my wife an apology for being so very wrong. But if you can excuse me, I want to go play more Pokopia. So, you've been watching RyeTwost. Of all the YouTube channels, it's the second one. Stay toasty, slices.